Hey, hi guys, hello and welcome to my lecture 22. And guys, onto this particular lecture, we are going to understand what is Git, what is GitHub, and we are going to get a basic understanding and hands-on as well onto this simple lecture of Git and GitHub. Right? We are going to write some code. We are going to push it to our local repository. We are going to use some Git commands as well, and we are also going to create an account onto a GitHub, and we will be pushing all our code that we write on a local machine onto the GitHub, right? So this is what Git and GitHub is all about, right? You do something and you push it onto somewhere else, just like we used to do it, as I remember on our chef series, right? We used to create our recipes onto our workstation, and then we used to upload our recipes onto your chef server, right? So you can just think it into that particular terms or that particular fashion, right? So, guys, in order to proceed ahead, first you need to understand what and why Git is even required, and then why you need to invest your time onto understanding of Git. Because, guys, recently, a couple of days back, I got one issue from one of my friends who watched my videos, and he said that he had to dockerize an application, and that code was onto GitHub, and he had no idea how to dockerize that application, how to put that code onto a Docker container, how to run it. So then I realized that, guys, actually it was my mistake. I should have brought this lecture even before Chef and even before Docker. So ideally, you need to understand Git, and then everything falls into place. So before wasting any more time, let's quickly get hands-on onto this particular lecture. And first thing, the very first basic thing that you need to understand, the very basic difference that you need to understand between Git and GitHub, right? Because most of the people get confused about Git and GitHub. So Git is nothing. Okay. So GitHub is a place that is going to manage all the repositories that have been created by Git. I hope it makes sense. So when you will be using Git, when you will be writing code, you will be creating a lot of folders. You will be creating a lot of directories. You will be creating a lot of folders and directories and some files, some text files. You will be creating a number of data, right? So Git will help you to do the version management control. In order to keep track of how version is getting maintained, Git will help you in order to achieve that particular piece of functionality. And whatever the repositories that you have created, how you manage them, it will be done with the help of GitHub, right? So GitHub basically is a very strong and very big database for all your Git repositories. So it manages all your Git repositories. So this is the only difference between GitHub and Git, right? So let's quickly start working onto our lecture. And at the end of the lecture, I'm very sure that you guys would be able to, push your code onto GitHub, write your code. You would be able to pull your code onto your local machine of any other developer. And I would also tell you guys there is something known as personal access token. So because what is happening as of now, that there are certain commands that are not working, and it was not working for me as well. So you need to understand this very small concept of personal access token as well. So guys, let's quickly get hands on onto our lecture. First you need to understand why Git, right? And what was before Git, right? So guys, in order to understand, you need to know about two things. There are two types of version control system. One is known as centralized version control system, one is distributed version control system, right? And what is version control system, right? I hope those who do not know, I'll make sure that you guys are able to understand. So what is your version control system? Let's say I created my code one for Gmail application, right? So this I wrote a particular piece of code, right? Then again next day I came, I again wrote my some code 2 for Gmail, and the same way again I wrote some code 3 for Gmail, right? So on a daily basis, I am writing some code. I am creating certain versions of it, right? So let's say somebody gave me a task of creating a login functionality for a Gmail application, such a big application. So first I wrote some code for my username, then wrote a code for password, then I wrote code for login. And this is how I am keep on adding my code, because the user will first enter their username, then they will enter their password, then they will click on login button, right? So on a daily basis, my code is getting appended, my code is getting added. So all these things are basically known as versions, right? This was my version 3, right? This was my version 2, you can, let's say, right? And that was my version 1, that is was the very first version. So all these things would be simply managed by the git, and your github will manage all the repositories that you create with the help of git, right? So github will manage all your git repositories. And how I'm coming on to that particular stuff as well, right? So even before git was introduced, previously, software development has always been in place, right? But after the git, the things changed. But what was happening before git, right? So you need to understand, there might have been some issue, because new things never get introduced until and unless some update is required, or there is some flaw onto that previous working system, right? So in order to understand that, just look up at onto this particular diagram. Guys, I'm very bad at creating these kinds of diagram. It takes a lot of time, but to the best of my knowledge, this is what I created, and I hope it looks good and fine, right? And I'll make sure that you guys are able to understand what centralized version control system was all about, right? And what was the even need of distributed version control system. So if we say that it is a central version control system, it simply means that there is something located centrally, and it is going to manage all your versions, right? And what versions it's going to manage? It is going to manage your code versions, or your commits versions. So I'll show you how that particular stuff work, right? So this is known as a repository. So what is a repository? It is just a place. You can just think about that. You can give it a n number of names. Like you can say that this is the place where all our code is stored. So if everybody is writing their code, and at the end of 8 hours they are pushing their code onto some certain place, that can be called as central repository, because everybody has access to that, and they are writing their code, and they are putting their code onto this particular location, right? So this is the place where code is stored, or you can say that this is my central repository. So whenever we are going to talk about repository in git, this repository word I would be using, I would not be using like folder or a directory, because it's just like the same concept. This is what I have written it over here. I have created with the help of diagram, right? So you there are three different ways by which you can call your mother, right? You can call your mother with the help of mom. You can say that mummy, you can call ma. So there are n number of names of the same thing, right? So this is the same thing, that you can call it a folder, or a place, or a storage, or a data warehouse. I mean anything. I mean you can think it of at this particular point of time, right? So do not get confused, guys. There are different names, just like in Linux we call it directory, and in Windows we call it folder. So this is just the same stuff, okay? So this is a place where all the codes were getting stored previously, even before Git was introduced. So let's understand it with the help of example, what it was all about. So all the developers were writing their code onto their own local machine. So this is my own machine, right, onto which I am giving you guys some sort of demo, or making you guys able to understand. So this is my machine, right? And each developer was writing some piece of code. Let's say for a Gmail application, they wrote a Gmail code, and they stored it onto their own system. And at the end of the day, before leaving, let's say they just uploaded it onto the central repository. The same thing was done by dev 2. He was not working on the Gmail login functionality. He was working on you know uh, security feature of Gmail, right? And this dev 3 was working on accounts or profile settings of Gmail application. So all of these guys were working onto some of the code. They were writing it onto the system, and they were simply pushing it onto a central repository. So I think there is no issue onto this, right? Because let's say he was working on the login functionality, and this developer too also wants to work on login functionality, so he can go and get his code from the central repository, and then he can start working onto that particular stuff, right? So I don't think there is any issue over here, right? But there were two basic main issues associated with central version control system, right? The very first issue was that in case if your server gets down, then that would be like hazardous, right? And it would be very difficult for other developers to work on. Let's say all these developers are working on same piece of functionality, all these are working onto the security aspect of Gmail application, right? He is writing some code, and once his security part is done, he would be writing his code for security part, and when his work is done, let's say he had to write the code for the security part, right? But let's say today or tomorrow morning 8 a.m. they go to their office, let's say 9 a.m., okay, they go to their office, and he wrote some code yesterday, and he just uploaded it over here, right? And now the developer too wants to see that what was there onto that particular central repository, right? But the server is down, right? So if the server is down, he cannot do anything at this particular point of time. So onto this diagram, there are only two developers who are affected by the server down functionality, because if server is down, they won't be getting access, right? So, I mean, how can they even proceed? So their whole day got wasted. Their whole day got wasted. Like from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. or 7 p.m. or 8 p.m., they did nothing. They just chit chatted. They roamed in the office here and there, and they just did the lunch, the breakfast, and anything, and they just came out of the office without doing any single piece of code writing. Why? Because the central repository was not available. How can I proceed ahead? Because your code is not available. So this was all the drawback. This was one of the basic drawback of central version control system. And the second drawback was that internet was required. Let's say if you want to create your EC2 instance, you need to have an internet. And if you are onto a particular place in any region of the world, in onto any part of the world, if you do not have the internet access, you cannot create an EC2 Linux machine. Why? Because internet is mandatory for that, right? So these are the two very basic drawbacks of the central version control system. This due to which there came another concept of distributed version control system, right? So central version control system is like let's say before work from home, the people were not who are not working from home, let's say before COVID-19. Let's take an example in order to make you understand. You go to the office, and after your office time gets finished off, let's say 8 p.m., 9 p.m., 7 p.m., 6 p.m., whatever the time may be, you simply come to your home, right? After that, even if your manager calls and says that hey dude, can you do a particular piece of work, you can simply reject it, or you can simply say that I do not have my machine, how can I work, so I'll work tomorrow. So this was the kind of issue that might have people faced even before Git was introduced, right? So the server is down, how can they proceed and how can they work? So there came this another concept of distributed version control system, right? So this is a very interesting. Okay, so over here you can see there is a concept of local system repository, right? And there is a workspace over here also, right? And this is your repository which is distributed. Why it is distributed? Let's say this time everybody has to write the Gmail code. Developer 1 has to write, developer 2 has to write, developer 3 has to write, right? So what happened onto this particular point of time is that they used to write their code onto their own workspace, right? They wrote their code onto their workspace, and they pushed their code onto their local system repo, right? Nothing was hampered, and there was no dependency of this particular server, right? And after that, they wrote their code, they pushed it onto their local system repository, and once they pushed it onto the GitHub, or let's say a distributed version control system, what other developers would do at this particular point of time, that they would have the local copy of what he did. Let's say he wrote the Gmail code 1, right? So let's say I am a developer, my friend is also a developer, let's say for example, we just copied the repository, or we downloaded the repository from this central place onto our own system, right? I also downloaded, he also downloaded, she also downloaded, and we started working onto that. We wrote our code, we appended our code, we wrote some extra pieces of line, and we just added it right onto our local system repository, right? Similarly, this was the user who also did the same thing. He just added his extra lines of code onto his workspace and then pushed it onto the local system repository, right? And then after that, when we all had been able to perform our work successfully, we just pushed it onto the GitHub, right? And that is it. This is how previously people were working. But now, in case if server is down, then there you cannot say that you are into office and you cannot work because my server is down. No. Why? Because let's say Rahul was working onto a Gmail security application piece code. He can still work, because in order to write something, or to push something, or to code something, internet is not required. And also, he already pushed a day before yesterday his entire code onto this particular system, right? And everybody had this repository onto their own system. Okay, we all downloaded it, right? So now we can work uh, ahead of that particular code, right? If he has written 15 lines of code, I can start writing from 17 line of code, and I can upload it, and I can update it, right? Once my work is done, then again I can push it back to the distributed version control system, which is GitHub, right? The same thing can be done by this user as well. So this is our local system repo. There is a concept: you create your own directory, you create your own folder, you create your own repository, you do your work onto your branch, onto your uh, different branches you can work, and then you can push your code over there, right? And another person on the next day, or the fourth developer or the fifth developer, can take it from over here, and he can also again start working onto his own code, right? So even if server is down, if let's say it is an integrated kind of chain, everything needs to be done one after the other. Even if server is down, but still we do have that particular thing onto our system, right? We already have downloaded that folder, and we all have access. Whatever was written by this person, we have access uh, over here, and we have access over here as well. So the same code is available everywhere. It's just that you can go ahead and append your work and continue your work, right? So this was the whole importance essence of distributed version control system. So even in case a server is down, there is no excuse, you can still continue work, right? And the second best thing is that even internet is not required, right? So these were the two things why your Git got introduced. And the only difference which I have told you between Git and GitHub is that GitHub is your central repository, or a very big database, and it is going to manage all the repositories that are being created by Git, right? So what are those repositories? Let's do a particular hands-on onto that, right? And for this, we need to create an EC2 instance. So guys, this is the roadmap. So what we are going to do is that we are going to create an EC2 machine. We will update it, we will install Git, then a directory would be created, and then we will be initializing it, right? So let's quickly get our hands dirty. I'll quickly launch a particular instance. I'll using my chef security group, launch 27 key pair RSA, and here we go. Our instance is now launching. I'll wait for a couple of minutes, or a couple of seconds. I think it should be ready in a moment. And guys, after our EC2 instance is up and running, what we are going to understand is that we would be writing some code onto our local system, and we are going to push it onto the central system, or which is known as GitHub, right? And then another developer will come and he will pull the code, and then you will see the power of Git and GitHub, right? So please follow this lab lecture very carefully, because I might not be able to very good at explaining things, but I'll show you how it actually works, right? Go over here, copy a public IP. This is the lab part. Open your putty or putty, whatever you can call it, in whatever accent you guys want it. Go auth, open it, click on accept. I'll change the settings over here. 14 consoles. Okay, apply. That is it, guys, right? For my machine ready, and now we are good to go. So guys, quickly focus over here. I'm logging into as my EC2 user. Alleviate your privileges by doing sudo su and then update your system. Yum update -y, right? Once your system gets updated, you need to install git because we are going to work onto the git, right? So let it get updated. So it got updated successfully, and now we are going to install git as well. Yum install git -y. That is it. It is very simple. Control L, right? What is your PWD? It is home EC2 user, right? So guys, now you are going to understand what is your repository, right? So now I'm going to make a directory. Let's say git user. Let's say git developer, or even change the name. Let's say developer one who's writing code for Gmail, right? Dev one Gmail. So let's say I'm a developer one. This is my repository, and this is what I would be posting it onto the GitHub, right? So pay a very close attention. Navigate onto this particular directory over here, right? So this is your empty repository, right? You haven't started even writing your code, right? So the very first thing that we used to do is that you have to initialize your git init. Why have we initialized? What this command basically does, guys, please try to understand. When I made this dev1 Gmail, it was a directory. It was just a normal directory, normal folder, you can say, right? But after initializing it, now it is not a normal folder. It has become a git folder. It has become a git repository. It has become a git storage place, right? So please try to understand. I may not have been able to tell you guys onto the theory part, but over here I'll make sure you guys should have a complete and clear cut understanding what each and every command is doing at this point of time, right? So I have initialized a git. Initialize basically means, let's say you are going for a particular war and you are not even initialize. You can think about, for those people who are a little bit non-technical, let's say I am going to a war for my country, and I have initialized myself with one of the rifles, one of the shotguns, one of the uh, a number of guns that I've taken, or knife, or anything. So I've initialized myself that I do have all these weapons with me. Now I'm good to go for war. Similarly, you have initialized your git, and once your git is initialized, so now this is not a normal folder. This is, again I'm reiterating, it has become your git repository kind of thing or structure, right? So this is now your git repository. It has been initialized. Okay, and after that you have initialized. Let's say we are going to write some code over here. Let's say touch file 1, file 2. I've created two of my files, and now I'm going to enter something onto one of my files, right? So let's say I have started writing code for Gmail security application, and then I'm also writing code for Gmail security multi-factor authentication. I hope you guys know what is multi-factor two-step thing which is required to log on onto Gmail, right? So multi-factor authentication. So these are the two codes that I have already written onto my system. Where I have written it over here. Normally the people write it in IDE, so we are not going into onto that particular part. Just try to understand how Git works, right? So currently Git has been installed, and I have created two files, and onto my file 1 I am writing the code for security application. I have also written code for Gmail security multi-factor authentication, right? Sorry, the spelling is bad, very bad. Control D, just get out over here. Do ls cat file 1 in order to see. Yes, So this is what I have code written onto one of my files, right? I've cleared my screen as of now, right? So this is not, so now this is not your simple dev1 gmail folder. This is your git repository. So now git commands, there are certain git commands, and those commands should start working over here, right? So what you can do is that you can just click on or write git status, not click, just write, enter this particular command. So there is something written over here, blah 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 xyz, something needs to happen, something not committed, whatever it is written over here, do not worry. It is just saying that, guy, you have you know, in order to track something, in order to make sure that which version, as I told you earlier over here, I know people tend to get forget. I wrote something for my version, right? This was my version 1, version 2, version 3. So in order to track it, first you need to add it somewhere. Then only it can be tracked, right? If you want to track your home, if you want to track your office, you need to add a camera. Then only it can be tracked, right? So the simple thing, the simple phenomena over here is that you need to add those files so that they can be committed or they can be tracked XYZ, right? So very try to understand it in a very very simple manner, right? So git add, I'm going to add it, git add file one. Let's say I've added it. Let's say I also want to add my the second file as well, right? So I've added uh, both of my files, right? So first I wrote them and then I have added them, and now I'm going to commit them, right? So there is a command git status, again you just run it and it will say that you are on the onto the master branch and you have not committed anything. It means that, you know, you have not committed anything onto your local repository. So now you need to understand another one more thing I should have told. Okay, yeah. So this is your working directory. This is the place. Let's say it was home slash EC2 user for me, right? I wrote some code. I created two files, right? And once I hit git add, after I did a git add, that goes on to a staging area, right? But when I commit it, commit, what is the meaning of commitment? Commitment is meaning is that, guys, please try to understand. In the next lecture I am again going to ask you guys what is the meaning of commitment, because it will be coming when I'll be discussing with you guys the concept of branches, right? So there are multiple branches. You can simply take it, you can visualize a simple tree, one branch, the main branch, and there are multiple branches coming out from your tree. That is it. It is that simple. Do not go into the technical stuff, right? So first try to understand. I wrote something, I created two of my files, I wrote my code for Gmail security application, I hit git add, then it came onto my staging area. In staging area, now it is being getting tracked over here, and once I do a git commit, it will come onto my local repository, right? So that I can push them later on. So now in order to push them to the local repository, you have to write git commit -m, my first commit. That is it. Shows that, you know, two files have changed, two insertions have been made. So if you do git log, it will say that, you know, this is the author from this particular IP, and you know, he has committed something onto the master branch from head to master. It says that something has been committed onto the master branch, right? Once this part is done, once you have written your code, once you have added it to staging area, once you have added it to the local repository, now over here you need to go ahead and create an account on github, right? So guys, I won't be telling you that how to create an account onto a github. I've already created my account, and this is my username, free learning for all. This is the username of my github account, and I do have a password. So just generate it. It is very very simple. Just like you create an account on Facebook, Twitter, simply create an account over here. You will get a username and you will get a password. Just copy it down or note it somewhere else, right? So as per our step, now you need to push it onto somewhere else. Like, this is the code that I committed onto my local repository. So as I told you earlier, over here you have written onto your, you know, local system repository. The code has been pushed onto local system repository by doing commit. Now it needs to go onto your central system repository. Like, so that another developer can copy it from over here, can download it, and can start working ahead. Ahead means from the place where you stopped, he can start working your from your stop position. He can start adding his own code, right? So now you need to push it onto the GitHub. So GitHub account has already been created. I do have my username and password over here, and what we need to do is that the first thing is that you need to create a particular repository onto GitHub, because onto GitHub there is no repository at this point of time. Okay, so go to the GitHub, click on repositories, create a new repository, give it a meaningful name, learning repo. Let's say yes, learning repo, learning repository. Basically it means learning repository. Do not touch any other thing, because we are just going to try to understand this particular concept. So this is learning repo. Click on create repository and your repository is created. Now what you have to do, just add this repository onto your local repository, right? So in order to do this, once you add it, only then you can push something onto that particular uh, branch, right? So come over here, copy it. Guys, just follow my lecture. It would be very easy for you to understand, right? Git remote add origin. This is your website name, this is my username, and this is the repo which I'm just trying to add it over here, right? And what is this origin? It simply represents your branch at this point of time. Try to understand, or you can understand that this is my branch. It is just adding a branch over here, right? So I've added over here, and then once my origin has been added, if you write this particular command like git push hyphen u, but before pushing it you should know that you know where you are. So currently we are onto our master branch. What is master branch? uh, let's say whatever you wrote, whatever the pieces of code you wrote over here, and when you uploaded it, by default it will go to the master branch until unless you specify the branch, right? So normally it is not recommended to work on master branch. I am not coming onto that particular master because you will get confused. So just know that by default everything is onto master branch. Master branch you can you can simply uh, let's say there is a particular tree kind of structure where is a main trunk is your let's say master branch, and another branches that are keep emerging out from that main trunk are your branches. So that main trunk is basically known as master branch. You can just imagine it in that particular fashion. So this is your git branch, and now onto this repository, onto the GitHub, you need to push your code. So if you write this command git push hyphen u origin, git push hyphen u origin, and so this is origin is like this. My origin simply represents this particular URL, right? So I am going to push onto this particular origin and onto the my master branch. But if I hit enter and I enter my details over here like free learning for all, it will not work. Why? I will tell you guys. Guys, over here it is saying that support for password authentication was removed on August 13, 2021. This is the reason it is saying that please use a personal access token instead, right? So now what I'm going to do is that I'm going to use my personal access token. You need to create your personal access token. Okay. So let me modify it. It was my learning repo. As after this particular lecture, I am going to delete my personal access token because it is now publicly shown to each and everyone. So you need to create your personal access token, and once your personal access token is created, only then onto Git you would be able to push your code. So this is how it has been made mandatory kind of stuff as of now. Just copy and paste it, push it. Now something has been pushed, so it says that 4 comma done counting object 4 comma 4 compressing right. Something has been done. It looks like something has been done, right? And what has been done? Go over here, click on your learning repo. You see that my file 1, click on it. Your code has been pushed successfully without any issue onto GitHub. Right. So guys, this was all about this particular lecture, what your Git was all about. This is what your GitHub is all about. I wrote something, I created my repo, and now I just posted it onto my GitHub so that another developer can start working from over here. So I told you, let's say it's an end-to-end scenario. So how it's gonna work, I'll quickly show you guys without wasting any time. Just come out over here. So this was the directory in which developer 1 was working, right? Let's say I am developer 2 and I want to see his code, what he has written, what he did yesterday. Let's say I'm a manager, let's say I'm uh, dev manager, right? And I want to see that what he did yesterday. I just want to review it, or even I want to write my own code because I'm a technical kind of techie kind of person, right? There are some managers who are they can write pieces of code, right? So what I will do is that first of all I'll initialize my Git the same thing, or just the same steps which we did it. And after that I just need to clone this particular repository. So in order to clone it, click onto the code, click over here, it will show you copy, write a command git clone, and if it is copied, right click, and it will start cloning over here, right? So from with the help of internet, I went to the the central repository, which is a GitHub, which is a distributed version control system. And I just downloaded the entire code written by this particular person, let's say dev1, right? See, I have all his files. I can also check as well, so what he wrote or not. So now I can see that this guy wrote the code for Gmail security application. He also wrote the code for Gmail security multi-factor authentication. Let's say it might have been a Java code, C hash, Ruby, XYZ, right? So this was all about, guys. So one developer wrote a code, another developer came back to the office, and he just downloaded everything what you write, and you can do nano over here, and you can start writing your own code over here. So this is how it works. Even if internet is not required, you can still commit, you can add, commit, you can perform those basic operation. Only for uploading it onto the GitHub, uh, internet is required, right? I'll quickly show you guys one more thing. Let's say get out of your manager mode, right? Again, get back to your developer mode. Let's say dev1 Gmail, right? And open your file cat file 1. Sorry. Open this file, this time cat file 2. This is updated Gmail code. Control D, come out over here. Let's say you are a developer, again you wrote certain pieces of code, and now you want to push it onto the GitHub. I'll quickly show you how you can check the things. Okay, so I appended some of the code again, right? I'll do git status, save that both these files have been modified. So git add, you can add file one by one, or you can add all the files at one go. I'll tell you guys on to my next lecture. And then get status. Once you have added, you need to commit them. Get commit -m my second code updated, right? I've committed it as well, right? And now I need to push it onto my git. Where is the command for that? I just git push. It got pushed successfully, right? So this is my personal access token, this is my username, and this is the branch onto which I am pushing it, right? Yes, refresh it. My second code updated. Now file 2, this is what I wrote, right? And now let's say developer or the manager again wants to see what I want to, what I did, like, so again get back to your manager mode, or to your manager. And now this time, once you are over here onto your particular repo, you can write git pull, and let's see what happens. It shows that one file has been changed. So if you do git log, it will say that at this particular point of time, uh, second code got updated, right? And it was done by author this, and this was the particular date, and this was the time onto which he updated his code, right? So that even if, let's say, he updated this second code and there was some issue with his code, so you can also come back to his first commit, right? So that we can revert back to some of the changes or come back to our previous versions as well. So if I did git pull, I was able to see whatever happened over here, or you can also check it with one of the command like git log hyphen hyphen one line, right? So this was my first commit and this was the second commit. So what all the commits have been done, this developer at onto this particular point of time would be able to see that, right? If you want to cat, if you want to check, I hope, yes, this is updated gmail code and this is updated gmail code. So developer also has this updated code from the github, and it is also reflecting onto my github as well, right? So this is how this distributed version control system got implemented. Now the developer or a manager, second developer or the dev manager at this particular point of time can go ahead and write their own code. They can append their own code, xyz, whatever they want, they can do it at this particular point of time. And once they upload it onto the github, I think the third person can also do, or can help, can provide some help, right? So this was the importance of this particular stuff. So even if server is down, let's say if I disconnect my internet over here and I'm not able to access my github, still I can write and put code onto my local repository. What was my local repository? This is my local repository, right? So guys, this was all about this particular lecture. I hope you guys have got some basic idea what is git, what is github. Github is basically used to manage your git repositories. I told you earlier. So what is this git doing? This is our repository and this is our branch onto which these are certain files, and it's gonna manage whatever we are going to update it over here and at any point of time, right? So this is my repo. Here I would be writing some code and I will pushing it over there, right? From from my local machine. Okay, so guys, this was all about this particular lecture. And once your lecture is done, please make sure that you simply terminate your EC2 instance, because I don't want anyone to uh, pay extra unnecessary sort of bills generated by AWS. Normally they do not generate this kind of bill, and even if you say that you are a student, you are learning, they will grant you. but but why to do that, right? So that this was all about this particular lecture. We discussed central version control system, we discussed distributed version control system, we ran some of the git commands, we wrote uh, on file certain commands onto our local repository, we pushed it onto the github, then second developer came, he cloned it with the help of git clone. He cloned this particular repository, this one, and then he also started working onto this. By doing git pull, he was able to see that whatever changes was made by developer one, and in this way it keeps on working. One developer writes the code, other developer can also come and see the next day or onto the same day, can pull the same repository and can work onto the same stuff, right? So this was all about onto this particular lecture, and I hope you guys have liked and enjoyed my lecture. Thank you for your time, and thank you for your patience.